Madam Secretary, fancy meeting you.
Oh, I can't believe this.
Yeah, this is not the circumstances in which I expected to be talking to you.
Nor me, Rachel. It's always good to talk to you, but honestly, I didn't think that it would be under these circumstances. Yet another set of indictments.
Oh, get a room. Yeah, you didn't think it was going to be under these circumstances. You thought maybe after you guys fired on Fort Sumter again, maybe it'd be under different circumstances. Let's dance. Go like this. Put on your red shoes. See? Yeah, the Democrats, I believe it's the Mars Candy Company, isn't it? Mars, and they own Skittles, which the Reverend Al Charlatan calls skillets. And they've gone full gay trans for children's candy. Halloween is, it's not next month. I guess it's the month after. But you can get your transgender Skittles for Halloween for all the kids because it's candy for kids, and they've got a new kind of Bud Light approach to marketing Skittles, including their new packaging with lots of rainbows, not just the candy, but rainbows. And then they have transgender figures on the packaging, and they've got slogans like Black Trans Lives Matter on the packaging of the new Skittles, and joy is resistance. Joy is resistance, but don't resist the left, particularly when they make their sexual advances toward your children. Michael Piercy and I were talking about this morning. I think parents groups need to go to school boards and say that they want to introduce the children to heterosexuality by having strippers and prostitutes come into the school and have stripper story hour. Right? And honestly, I had to look it up, but look up a bunch of the names of gentlemen's clubs, we'll call them gentlemen's clubs, in Washington, D.C., and you go recruit the exotic dancers, from Camelot, who Hunter Biden may know a lot of them. From Camelot, that's Good Guys, or Empire Gentlemen's Club. And parents need to go in and start organizing, create an organization. Because one of the things I've noticed is that the Democrats are very big on indoctrinating the children to the gay sex. Children, kindergarten, first grade, twerking in their faces, transgender men pretending to be women, bearded ladies with male genitalia twerking in the faces of first graders, second graders, third graders, Florida, kindergarten, everywhere. All right, and all the stuff targets children. And now Skittles is targeting children with their new transgender marketing campaign. And how is joy resistance? Joy is resistance. What you should resist the pedophiles of the Democrat Party. And I misspoke a few minutes ago. The Globe and Mail is not English. It's Canadian. Same thing. What's the difference, honestly? The Canada's bigger. And they got this Pierre Trudeau, Justin Trudeau guy. But joy is resistance. Yeah, resist the pedophile Democrat Party. That's going to, and Black Trans Lives Matter is a marketing campaign for children on a candy for children, Skittles. Remember, Trayvon Martin was going out to get some Skittles and some iced tea when he decided to stop and beat up the gay guy that turned out to be George Zimmerman. Remember, he told his pal Rachel Dolezal, Trayvon Martin was shot and killed by the Community Watch guy. Rachel, what did I say? Dolezal. Oh, I apologize. Too many lunatics. You're right. Rachel John Tell, thank you very much for that very important correction. And Rachel John Tell is black, right? Rachel Dolezal pretends to be black, while she identify as she, white-splains to black people what it's like. It's these people are not well.
Creepy ass cracker.
Creepy ass cracker. That's right. Rachel John Tell explaining that Trayvon Martin, who was just out to get some Skittles and iced tea according to the Reverend Al Charlatan.
The young man was not armed. He was going back home after buying an iced tea and Skillet's candy.
He got some Skillets, and then he stopped, according to Rachel Jontel, to beat up the creepy-ass cracker because the neighborhood watch guy, Rachel Jontel said, was going to follow him home and rape his little brother.
Definitely after I say it might be a rapist. For every boys, or every man, who's not that kind of way, see a grown man following them.
Community watch.
Would they be creep out?
Would they be creep out? Public school. Yeah, so, and that's every time I see Skittles, that's what I think of.
What is found on the young man, Skillets and IT.
That's right, IT, internet technology, and skillets, which are frying pans. So he had frying pans. Where did he get the frying pans? He's a $1 million journalist in the employ of NBC News. He's the Reverend Al Charlatan. You know. How did he rise to fame again? We remember. Yes, we do. All right, now let's get to the crazy Democrats. I just wanted to get to that because the Democrat, well, that was getting to the crazy Democrats too. They're coming for your children. And honestly, all the indoctrination of children is all LGBTQ, because if you wanted to indoctrinate them sexually, in terms of heterosexuality, that would be an outrage. Nobody could go along with that. But I think parents groups, these school districts in Florida and Virginia, wherever they may be, that invite transgender LGBTQ indoctrination of the children, go to the school boards and say, we want to indoctrinate them and introduce them to the ways of heterosexuality by bringing in strippers, also known as exotic dancers, and friends of Hunter Biden, to the schools to have stripper story hour, and they can read porn to them, what's that book with the graphic depiction? Gender queer? Yeah, gender queer. They can read gender. Now that's actually what the Democrats are already doing. All right, I digress. Let's go to last night, because President Trump was indicted by a radical left, racist Mau Mau, daughter of a Black Panther, who she says her name is Fani, not Fanny. It's Fani because it's a Swahili name. It's Swahili because she thinks she's Swahili or something like that. And her father was a radical Black Panther, became a lawyer. Then he was a radical lawyer, Black Panther, and raised this woman who went to Howard University and in Washington, D.C., which is a historically Black college and or university, and then went to, where'd she go? Emory, I think, for her law degree. And she's a radical. She's an extremist. She's a fanatic. She's a political nut job. And she's the one that charged President Trump yesterday. Yeah, Howard University and then Emory University for her thing. Who was I speaking to recently that went to Howard and was shocked when she started going to Howard, how much of an emphasis there was on being anti-white. Remember, they had that professor they invited there who said the only answer was to kill all the white people. We played the audio for you here in the past at Howard University, where also the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, went to college. And they had this crazy, nutty professor, Camus Cambone, who said that the only solution for the world was to kill all the white people.
The one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
Anyone that applauded should go to a prison camp in Western China and work with the Uyghurs. I think that's your Democrat Party. Yeah, so this Fanny, I'm going to call her Fanny. She wants Fanny, whatever. Willis, she owned the Willis Tower in Chicago. And she's an extremist and a radical. Born in Inglewood, California, her father was a member of the Black Panthers and a criminal defense attorney. When Willis was in the first grade, her family moved to Washington, D.C. Her parents divorced, as you might expect, and her mother eventually moved back to California. Willis mostly stayed with her father, the Black Panther. Now she's the prosecutor who is rigging this Soviet-style, communist-style indictment of President Trump, full of amazing things. 19 people indicted, including former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former New York City mayor, and prosecutor who brought down the mafia, Rudy Giuliani, who made New York City sane again, and a total of 19 people. There are 10 charges in the indictment, 97 pages, and she is a dangerous criminal. She should probably end up in handcuffs and in prison herself, and disbarred, of course, should be disbarred as well. Now, but let's start with some of last night's craziness on MSDNC, where Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton showed up to cozy up to her pal Rachel Maddow, who apparently works one day a week for more than $30 million a year, because it's good to be a Democrat, and the media dominance, the information dominance. So let's keep in mind the Hillary Clinton saying that the election, when she lost to President Trump, because all this is about President Trump raising questions about the 2020 election, and he's being charged with crimes for daring to say out loud what he believes, which is allowed and protected speech under the First Amendment in the United States of America. But the left is not democratic. They're fascistic. And remember that fascism is a merger of state and corporate power. The Democrats, with their information oligarchs from Jeff Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, to Jack Dorsey, who owned Twitter, to Mark Zuckerberg, who likes wrestling men and owns Facebook. Let's go to Hillary Clinton talking about the 2016 election when she lost.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
Yay! Yay! Woo! They all cheer stolen elections because they love stolen elections. They've claimed that every election in the 20th century, presidential election and gubernatorial election in Georgia, that they lose. If they lose a presidential election, they say it's stolen. Hillary saying that she can see the future, like Gene Dixon or Nostradamus. She knows that the election next year is already as good as stolen because those darn Republicans.
Right-wing extremists already have a plan to literally steal the next presidential election.
Literally. She knows. She is filth. She's a danger to our Republicans, should probably be charged with a long list of crimes. Terry McAwful, who was the chair of the DNC, and then McAwful became the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And he last time I saw him asked about it, about a year ago, he still insists that the 2000 election, when George W. Bush beat Al Gore, he still claims that that election was stolen.
Right-wing.
Oops.
If Catherine Harris, Jeb Bush, Jim Baker, and the Supreme Court hadn't tampered with the results, Al Gore would be president.
Yeah, the 2000 election was stolen because the Republicans tampered and they stole the election. McAwful on the 2004 election.
We actually won the last presidential election, folks. They stole the last presidential election.
Woo, woo, they all go wild. And so when Democrats say that Donald Trump must be in prison for saying that there were problems with the 2020 election, these fascists, with their coalition, their merger with the media and the media oligarchs, they, if only they were held to the same standard to which they would like to hold everyone else. Were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. And I have a 10-minute video of Democrats in Congress, in the executive branch, in the media, all saying that the 2000 election was stolen, the 2004 election was stolen, the 2016 election was stolen. They, of course, won in 2008 and 2012. So if they lose a presidential election in the 21st century, they say it's stolen, and that's fine. Stacey Abrams in Georgia says that her gubernatorial election was stolen, and that's fine. Ironically, these charges filed in Atlanta, Georgia yesterday. Stacey Abrams was nowhere to be found. And wait till you hear the Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton with her camping mate, Rachel Maddow, last night. Hey, I've got breaking news. President Biden's plan to introduce a digital dollar is already underway, and it's vital to understand the potential consequences. Contrary to their phony claims, of course, this initiative is not in your best interest or mine, and time is of the essence, so taking action now is absolutely necessary to protect yourself, your savings, your retirement, your family. You can help protect your savings from the risk of the digital dollar by diversifying with gold and silver IRAs. You need to get smart. Call the experts at American Alternative Assets. We love American Alternative Assets. Call them today at 888-4GOLD20. That's 888-446-5360. Call them for guidance on safeguarding your retirement and your savings. Say no to Joe Biden's digital dollar. Call 888-4GOLD20. That's 888-446-5360. Call them today. Individual results may vary. There is no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah, wait till you hear these hypocrites. If President Trump is being charged for these things, then Hillary Clinton should be raided by the FBI today. A SWAT team. Drag her out. If she's got a dog, shoot it. Hey, it's Chris Plant. Excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. Let's go to the telephones, Michael, and I've got lots of audio coming up. Dershowitz and Turley and the truth versus the lie. That's the daily battle, isn't it? My jury duty experience yesterday and Democrat men who think they're women. Right now, let's go to Catherine, calling from Vancouver, Washington, which is near Vancouver, Canada. Catherine, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, hi, Chris. This whole thing with Donald Trump reminds me of Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick. And Donald Trump is Moby Dick, the big white sperm whale, and the evil satanic communist left are Captain Ahab. And in 2016, they got their left leg bitten off by this whale, Moby Dick. And ever since then, they have been on this maniacal quest to destroy and kill the big white whale. And spoiler alert for people who haven't read the book, because it's a very long book, I suggest watching the Gregory Peck movie. But spoiler alert, the whale wins, and Ahab and his ship, the Pequod, and his whole crew are destroyed. And the United States people are Ishmael, who are the sole survivors, having witnessed this big epic battle between Ahab and Moby Dick.
That is great stuff. I love that. And don't forget about Starbuck. He was on there too. Still he beckons. Still he beckons. All right, let's go to the crazy left-wing radical extremists pretending to be journalists and being paid tens of millions of dollars a year in exchange for their misdirection and dishonesty and their lack of education, their ignorance. They're very comfortable lying for the left, you know, the Democrat Party. And Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton was on there with Rachel Maddow working her one day a week, and Maddow and Hillary, they giggle, they think it's cute. Then they fired on Fort Sumter again. Last night, MSNBC, after the announcement of the radical left-wing extremist prosecutor, who's the daughter of the Black Panther radical racist leftists, the indictment of President Trump. This is what, if you watch MSNBC, and almost nobody does. This is the education that you get there.
Madam Secretary, fancy meeting you here.
I
It's really
can't
nice having you
believe
here.
this.
Oh,
This is not the circumstances in which I expected to be talking to you.
Nor me, Rachel. It's always good to talk to you, but honestly, I didn't think that it would be under these circumstances. Yet another set of indictments.
oh yeah, I didn't think it would be under these. Wait, you don't follow the news because everybody knew this was coming. Only a moron, only an idiot, only someone locked in a concrete block at the bottom of the ocean wouldn't have known that this was coming. But Hillary Clinton would rather lie than tell the truth because she's a pathological liar. Remember when she was asked by Charlemagne, the misspelled God? It was Charlemagne, the misspelled God, that asked her whether she had ever had sex with a woman, right?
That was Stern.
Oh, it was Howard Stern. I apologize. That's right. Not Charlemagne, the misspelled God. Okay. So that's how they kicked things off. And listen to the just gushing with effusive praise for one another. This is what passes for journalism at NBC Fake News. Tens of millions of dollars. Rachel Maddow, kind of a strange question.
Do you feel satisfaction in that? You warned the country, essentially, that he was going to try to end democracy, but most of the country didn't believe you.
Well, it's hard to believe. I don't feel any satisfaction. I feel great, just great, profound sadness that we have a former president who has been indicted for so many charges that went right to the heart of whether or not our democracy would survive.
End democracy, whether or not our democracy would survive. Donald Trump challenging an election when she challenged the 2016 election, which President Trump won. When the Democrat Party, the DNC chair, the now former governor of Virginia, challenged the 2000 election, which they lost to George W. Bush, and they challenged the 2004 presidential election. These are all presidential elections, which they lost to George W. Bush. And they challenged, and they brought him to court, and they sued, and it had to go all the way to the Supreme Court in the case of 2000. They wanted to keep counting in Democrat stronghold counties in Florida until they turned up more votes, and they lost. And they're still saying that 2000 was stolen, 2004 was stolen, 2016 was stolen. They don't say 2008 and 2012 were stolen because they won. They don't say 2020 was stolen because they won. There were a great many well-documented irregularities from Arizona and Nevada to Pennsylvania to Georgia and beyond, but pay no attention to those. Let's make sure we don't get to the truth. But it's the end of democracy. Now, I don't know how many suicide attackers the Democrat Party wants to put into the field to murder people, but they've already put a whole lot of murderous Democrat suicide attackers into our political bloodstream, including James Hodgkinson, who shot Congressman Steve Scalise on that baseball field and tried to murder an entire baseball field populated with the practicing Republican congressional baseball team getting ready for the annual friendly good sport congressional baseball game of Democrats against Republicans. And James Hodgkinson was a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer. And he shot Congressman Steve Scalise. It was a suicide attack. The police were forced to shoot him down and kill him to stop him from murdering everybody there because he had a Chinese combat rifle. And the Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer, it's funny how all this washes off, and nearly killed Congressman Steve Scalise, of course, who was demonized by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And James Hodgkinson was a big follower and fan of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Perhaps why he targeted Steve Scalise first. Hard to say because he had to be shot to death by the police in the suicide attack. Democrat suicide attacker from Maryland went to New York, murdered 2 police officers, NYPD, Ramos and Liu, went to a nearby subway stop and killed himself. Another suicide attack against police during a Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas, Texas, where he murdered how many, Michael? 5 or 7 police officers, wounded 9 more, forced the police to follow him into a parking garage and blow him up with a bomb brought in there by a robot. Suicide attack against the police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, another mass murder Democrat suicide attack. And the Democrats are going around with this incendiary rhetoric that Donald Trump represents the end of democracy. No, he beat you in the presidential election. That's not the end of democracy. That's the end of your, although she's not done yet. She may be back because she's Ahab also going after the presidency. Pretty extraordinary stuff. But the incendiary, the apocalyptic rhetoric, the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon. The apocalyptic rhetoric of the Democrat Party has already led to no end of political violence, and they're fine with that, aren't they? They're the left. They're not liberals. They're the left. Let's get back to Hillary with her pal Rachel Maddow. And again, this incendiary rhetoric, and President Trump has been charged with speech crimes. Things he said are being charged as crimes because they're Hitler. You see this attack on Mothers for Liberty or Moms for Liberty. Did you see this? Oh, they quoted Hitler. And now, they quoted Hitler pointing the finger at you, coming after the children. Moms for Liberty is being demonized now by Gavin Newsom, who may jump into the race when Joe Biden finds himself in an iron lung one day soon. And look for Hillary Clinton to come out of the woods and go after that job again, too, because she's not done. But let me get back to Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton. You remember she said she was named for Sir Edmund Hillary, and that was a lie because Sir Edmund Hillary was not known to anyone, had not climbed Mount Everest until after she was born, so there would be no way that anybody was naming their kids after Sir Edmund Hillary. She lies about everything from her birth forward. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, she gets some satisfaction out of this.
The only satisfaction may be that the system is working, that all of the efforts by Donald Trump, his allies, and his enablers to try to silence the truth, to try to undermine democracy, have been brought into the light, and justice is being pursued.
And justice is being pursued. Yeah. I like it. And, a Democrat story is hanging all around me here. The man that broke the record in Canada for weightlifting because he competed as a woman. Riley Gaines is in on that one because she's speaking up on behalf of women who the Democrat Party is erasing. But we've got that. And we all need to stop calling men biological men who think they're women. Just call them men. Biological is superfluous to men. They're men. Just because they say they're women doesn't mean they're women. And they're stealing women's trophies. And Democrats applaud that because of the rampant, pervasive mental illness from which they're suffering. And then back to Paul Maddow. We always called her Paul because of her physical similarity to Paul McCartney, I think. Paul Maddow last night.
If we no longer believe that our will is effectuated through the system, if bad actors tell us falsely that every election is stolen and that the only way an election is trustworthy is if they come out on top of it, then something, it tells you something not just about that person or that moment. It maybe wounds us as a democracy in a way that is hard to repair.
Yeah, it's hard to repair. If only it were not for the fact that the Democrats have been going around screaming since 2000, which is 23 years ago, that every presidential election they've lost was stolen. And if Stacey Abrams in, ironically, Atlanta, Georgia, didn't still go around saying that her election was stolen, the blithering fascists. Here is a compilation of Democrats going around saying all the elections were stolen.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's the real
what I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election And he
Jimmy
was put
Carter.
in office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
See, the Democrats can go around saying that for years and years on end and never an eyebrow raised because the fascist hypocrites are up to no good. They're here to destroy our democracy, to take away our democracy, to destroy our republic. It's a republic. And boy, I got to tell you, and there is not a news organization in the country, that NBC, ABC, CBS, The Washington Post, The New York Times, that is going to point this out because they're not legitimate news organizations. They are front groups for the Democrat Party, and they're very happy to lie all the time to everyone. It's quite extraordinary. Now, what I'm playing for you here is from a 12-minute video. Maybe we should share this. Should we share this 12-minute video of the Democrats denying election results? And this was actually compiled about a year ago. And our news media doesn't cover the news. They don't uncover truths. They cover up truths for the Democrat Party because they're not journalists at all. And the truth is our republic cannot function properly with a fourth estate as corrupt as our fourth estate. And the Democrats yesterday, again, firing on Fort Sumter. It's extraordinary. Yeah, we should probably post this, the link to this 12-minute, 29-second video of Democrats denying. It goes on and on and on with the Democrats denying and saying it was stolen and not a legitimate president. And every presidential election in the 21st century has gotten this treatment from the Democrat Party. And then they have the temerity, like Maddow and Hillary Clinton, to go on television with their creepy smiles and lie like the biggest liars that you've ever seen in your life, while accusing Donald Trump, who raised questions about the 2020 election, of destroying our democracy. And then they loot your cities and burn your police stations and steal everything that isn't nailed down, and all that's okay. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton with her pal last night. Uh-oh.
The deliberate effort to divide Americans, to lie to Americans about what was going on literally in front of their own eyes.
Loot me.
What happened on January 6th? Don't believe what you saw, believe what I tell you. Those are all the hallmarks of authoritarian, dictatorial kinds of leaders.
Mostly peaceful. As we're watching cities burn, churches torched, the Church of the Presidents, the President of the United States evacuated from the White House with his family to the nuclear bunker beneath the White House because of the violent mobs of Hillary voters outside. And what did they injure? More than 180 police officers attacking the White House. The sacking, looting, and plundering of cities in the United States from Seattle to Miami, while shooting, killing, injuring literally thousands of police, literally billions in property damage. January 6th, my rumpus, lady, you're part of a criminal organization that has caused billions in damage. And I saw another article yesterday, the deadly attack on the Capitol of January 6th. It's true, Ashley Babbitt, after serving 12 years in the United States Air Force, was mercilessly shot and murdered by a U.S. Capitol police officer without warning. No taser, no pepper spray, no nightstick. Shoot to kill, because it's the left. They're not liberals. They're the left. CBD is everywhere. They're putting CBD in everything now. And my friends at Generic CBD have infused CBDs into their #1 best-selling, deep-penetrating muscle and joint cream. And let me tell you, the stuff is amazing. Everybody loves it. Melts right into your knees, elbows, shoulder, back. especially those stiff hands, fingers, knuckles. Goes to work in a matter of seconds, and it's a fantastic moisturizer. Even my best girl said so. The company's called GenericCBD.com, and we love them. They support this station and our show. They're wonderful. You've heard me talk about them before. They sell premium CBD products for a lot less cash. And right now, you can try their muscle and joint cream for free. It's free. You pay $2.95 for shipping and handling, but don't worry, it's not a subscription, no strings attached. They want you to try it because they know you're going to love it. You're going to start buying it for your mom and your neighbors and as gifts, and you're going to use it yourself. It's wonderful. Get a free sample at GenericCBD.com. That's GenericCBD, GenericCBD.com. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The products not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or illness. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I don't know how they could become bigger hypocrites. I don't think they could. But we'll give them an opportunity coming right up.
Now, listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
It's good to be a Democrat. If we had a news media, they'd sound just like me. Sadly, we really don't have a legitimate news media. Bum, bum, bum. I'm telling you, and we've got great legal stuff for you as well. Coming up, we've got Alan Dershowitz, and law professor emeritus, Harvard University, not a Republican, not a conservative, not a Trump supporter. What he has to say about this professor to Barack Obama, who was a terrible mediocrity, and to Senator Ted Cruz, who was not a terrible mediocrity, according to Alan Dershowitz. And we've got those coming up for you. And then, of course, the Democrat Party's gender issues. Boy, they've got a lot of gender issues, the Democrats, and Native Americans and the Redskins.